As you can see, I'm repping that BMT. No matter where I go, no matter where I be.
Representing for my brother BMT.
Got my man Austin in the building. What up, bro?
It's good. Travel is life.
This how we roll. Look, I just happened to get off the elevator. Look at it. The BMT shirt on. You know, we representing all the way in Thailand, man.
This shirt is so dope, man. It shows off your guns, fits your muscles, gives you room at the bottom for the belly, and then you repping the BMT brand, man. So make sure y'all pick up that BMT shirt because it's fire. It looks good. He got them in different colors, and I'm telling y'all, man, the fit, it ain't that cheap bullshit. It's a real quality shirt, man. I love it, BMT. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for blessing me with the shirt, and I'll see you on the other side. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, go cop the new merch.
All right, family. We are live. Close the door. All right. We are live, family. How's everything going today? We got a great show lined up for you guys today, man. I just came off a great interview with my man O'Shea Duke Jackson a few days ago. He posted a video. It's doing pretty good numbers. So we're going to respond to that video. Do me a favor, guys. Press a 1 in the comment section if the audio and visual is coming through nice and clear for the family. Do me a favor, hit me a 1. Also, do me a favor and hit that like button because we got a good conversation for you guys this evening. I know most of you guys are on the East Coast, so we're going to talk about it, man. You know, the Passport Bros have gotten a lot of slack already, for being international travelers, for globalizing, for dating overseas. But one of the things that we don't talk about as far as part of the backlash is the fact that a lot of bros are choosing to date interracially. All right. So we're going to look at some stats, some overall stats. All right. Me and my man O'Shea had a great conversation. I will say that most of the comment section, and I'm going to pull that up as more people come in the room. Most of the comment section, because, O'Shea has a pretty much dominant black, it's black and black female, male and female in his audience base. But for the most part, I would say that, because he was on the fact that you can't speak a certain way about pro-black issues when you've already decided to marry outside of the black community. Now, my whole stance for years, and I'm not super political, but my whole stance for years is the black community has been in shambles for the last 30, 40 years. So we really don't have black communities, in my opinion. I've said that a long time ago. They ran me off the panels when I said that about 5, 6 years ago. I feel like we got black neighborhoods. We don't necessarily have black communities because we don't own the businesses within our communities, all right? And we don't program the educational system within our so-called community as well. You can't really have a community with broken homes and businesses that are owned by other ethnic groups of men, all right? Making millions of dollars pulling out yearly, all right? No taxation at all. But we're not gonna get into that. We're talking about the interracial part of it, okay? So we're gonna break down the interview I did with O'Shea. Now, O'Shea is, solidified pro-black, okay? And I consider myself to be a passport bro. I'm not even in that pro-black space per se, but I do want to see my people do well. And I don't personally believe that by me being married to an Asian woman, that differentiates, or not differentiate, but that stops me from wanting to help, all right, help push the building blocks back in our favor of doing well as a group of people. All right. All right, let me see what we got to say. And like I say, if you have an opposing point, please pull up to the panel later on. If you oppose what I'm saying, listen, I like the debate. You know, this is going to be a great show. You know, and I want to get your guys' opinions. I'm going to pull up some stats as well as play some clips from the O'Shea Duke Jackson video I did. All right. Like I said, it's almost going viral. It's over 10,000 views in 24 hours. You know, some of them were getting on me in the comment section. You know, some of the sisters were saying, the rolling the mill, he this, he that, and he can't get this, and this, that, and the other. We all know, what some of them say. But there was some brothers in there that were talking about this as well. All right, let's see what we got here. My man JDA 4891 or JDA, I don't know if you're male or female. He says the Black community has been in shambles. Marry who you want. No one owns your Black card. That's weak mindset. Good show the other day. All right. Appreciate that. So before we get into it, as we wait for more people to come in the room, I'm just going to pull up some raw stats to see if it really is that serious. All right. Because there does seem, what up, Iman? There does seem like, there is a lot of brothers, dating interracially in 2026. Okay. It does seem that way. So let me pull up a stat right here. Let me pull up a stat before we get to the video. Let me remove this. All right. So here's a stat. It poses the question of the show: can you still be pro-Black if you marry interracial? As a matter of fact, let me ask the chat this. I'm gonna ask the chat this a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and put a poll in a moment. But I want to know: can you still be pro-Black if you marry interracial? Put 1 for yes, 2 for no. Okay, we'll start with that right there. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And I'll put the poll in the chat in a moment. All right, so let's look at some overall stats here. In 1980, all right, it was only about 3% marriages were interracial. That's definitely the case because I didn't see no interracial marriages growing up. The only thing I knew was like my school teacher. There's a white guy married to a sister. That was it. The only interracial marriage I saw growing up. By 2015 to 2025 estimates, roughly 10 to 11% of married couples are interracial. All right. So interracial marriage in America has risen dramatically over the last 40 years. Now, keep in mind, most of us are married outside of the states like myself. Slam Bradley says, no, the answer is no. All right. Okay, we got a couple of ones. Eric Munger says, yes, you can. You're fighting white supremacy one womb at a time. All right, let me pull up another stat real quick. All right, where's my other stat at? Okay, where's the other stat? Where's the other one at? Hold on. I think it should be downloads. Where we at? Hold on 1 second, family. Oh, it's all over the place. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So let's look at some stats here. Let me pull this up. He with the Umar clan. So we got a couple of twos. That's good. We got a couple of twos. All right. So Black interracial marriage has tripled amongst Black Americans. Interracial marriage rate more than tripled since the 80s. All right. 18% by 2015. So they're saying the world is smaller. And they're saying also there are more travel, which equals more experiences. All right. More connections. So I've been said that. I said, as guys travel, people in general, as they travel more, all right, you're going to tend to date. All right, people like what's different, male or female. And as you guys can see, it's going up. Somebody said, who said one woman at a time? All right, let me post another stat here before we get to the show at large. Hold on. Let me move this. Matter of fact, let me get this one out of here. All right. We post another stat. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Hold on. 1 second, family. Here we go. Eric says, each generation is more integrated than the previous, especially as we get further from the Jim Crow era. All right. So who marries interracially more? Black men or black women? Black men are more likely than black women to marry interracially at 24%. So that's about 22 to 24% of married black men have non-black spouses. Now this goes along, it's not shown here, but the education plays a large factor in this as well. Okay, we know how America has a lot of, colorism and classism, but basically the guys with, degrees are getting married to other races of women. And 12 to 14% of black women intermarry. That's a lot too. That's quite a bit too. But for the most part, 24% is a lot. That's a lot. But the majority is still brothers marrying sisters though. I wouldn't panic per se. That's why I'm telling O'Shea, it's still, what's that, 76%? But it's going up. All right. Now, hold on now. Let me put this stat up before we get to some of the video. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. Let me pull up another stat real quick. Get some of this out of here. Okay. Now, keep in mind, a lot of black men have not been married and don't have children. Okay. 51% to 52%. It says around 51 to 52% of black men in America have never been married. I don't think I would have got married in the States, man. My father wasn't married. I don't think my grandfather was married. But okay, my maternal grandfather was, of course, married, but my paternal grandfather, I don't believe was married. I don't think I would. It's just not a good deal for me. I don't believe in losing all your shit. All right. But around 51 to 52% of black men in America have never been married. All right. That says a lot. That says a lot. And you know what's funny? And I'm not saying this about anybody in particular, but you'll get a lot of guys like the Dr. Umars, all right, that have had children out of wedlock, which is fine. I'm not tripping on the wedlock thing. Things sometimes what they say, the cart is before the horse. It happens. But as much as Dr. Umar does not lead by example whatsoever, right? And for him, hold on. What threw me off about Dr. Umar, man, because I was, I've donated to Dr. Umar's school. I donated about $500 to his school. I don't know what's going on with the school or not. But he has this thing where he loves to critique and dick police black men. I'm almost thinking that he's an agent at this point. because he made a comment that really just threw me all off. You know, it threw me all off. And he was saying he would have a family with Sukihana, one of the most ratchet, disgusting rappers, like just an embarrassment of an individual, right? He's trying to push brothers to like hood rats and shit. That's his solution for fixing the so-called black community. And in my head, I'm like, why would you? Because I don't think Dr. Umar really gives a rat's ass about black men, in particular young black men at all. Because he panders to the sisters, which I get because you want donations for your school. All right, I get that game. I get that part of it. But they kind of push, instead of, a brother finding his way, going overseas or finding the good one, no matter what complexion or race she is, he rather push you towards hood rats like Sukihana, which is the most dangerous thing that you can do. Because a lot of hood rats actually hate real black men, right? They only entertain boys, lost boys for the most part. And they very disrespectful. And in a lot of cases, bitches like Sukihana set your ass up too. They'll set your ass up. I know a couple of brothers that's lost their lives dealing with hood rats. I was set up 2 times in Atlanta back in my day. Lucky I had my pistol on me. And I'm paranoid as paranoid can get. But that's the most dangerous thing in the world. The worst decision that you can make is to assume that just because she's your complexion, all right, just because technically she comes from the same ethnic group, that's the criteria for a good wife. That's the criteria for a good wife, just because she's black, which is the dumbest shit in the world, all right? It's the dumbest shit in the world. Yeah, Trent, he got like 3 children by 3 different women, by the way. Dr. Umar. All right? I'm still pissed I donated $500 to his goddamn school because this is back in 2012, 2013. I didn't have it at the time, but I believed in his vision. I believe his vision. All right? What he's saying in some cases is correct, but I never agree with the depolicing that Dr. Umar does. I never agree with that. And that's the thing about, which leads me to the O'Shea interview, because I don't feel like black men traveling or dating out or being in interracial marriages is holding the community back in any form of fashion, because it doesn't hold any other community back. White guys marry who the hell they want to marry. They don't give a damn. All right? They don't give a shit, because they know at the end of the day that they have somewhat of a patriarch, and their agenda is going to get crossed with whoever they marry. All right? With whoever they marry. They don't really dick police themselves like that. Oh, you got a black wife? Okay, whatever. All right? Iman Perry says, tweet 12. Damn, if you would have put that into Bitcoin, you would be I don't know about a billionaire. I got some Bitcoin. Nah, man, but Dr. Umar, that was a different era back then. I believe it was like 2012. It had to be about 2012, because I remember my best friend at the time, one of my best friends, she was a female, and she hated Dr. Umar. She know he was full of shit, right? And she was so pissed that I gave him $500. And she was like, why did you do that? Like, she was like, sometimes sisters can see in the future, Sometimes they be on point. And she was on point. And I don't know what happened to that damn school, man. I guess I bought Dr. Umar some Jordans that day. All right. Damn, is my picture crooked in the background? Hold on. All right, hold on, family. Oh, yeah, hold on. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me fix that real quick. Somebody said 2012. I believe in the brothers. And his brother met him, donated, bought his book, donated some more. Grow talk. Well, what happened with the goddamn school then? It don't take no 20 years to build no damn school. That's all I'm saying. What happened to damn school? Baba Sloth, 9324 says white men have been crossing oceans and procreating with women for hundreds of years, but when black men do it, it's a problem. You can't trust Brad, Becky, or Keisha. All right. All right, so let me go ahead and start to pull up the video. We got 57 in the room. Guys, do me a favor and make sure you hit that like button. All right. All right. So shout out to my man O'Shea Duke Jackson, man. We've been kind of at it. I've known O'Shea for 5 years. Okay, what all started this interview process was the fact that he made a post in his community. I believe it was a post or it was a video. Matter of fact, it was a video. I'm sorry, it was the video about Jamie Foxx speaking pro-black and dating white. I believe he just got another white woman pregnant at 57 or something. All his baby mom was white. Right. And I say Hotep in the comment section. If you guys know O'Shea, been following him for a while, you know, I always say Hotep. But I disagreed with him. I said, hey, man, you can still do for the black community. And I never really heard Jamie Foxx speak on black issues like that either. You know, apparently he does. I've never heard Jamie Foxx speak on specifically black issues. All right, me personally. Somebody said, Umar made a video about brothers married in China recently. All right, so I got some timestamps here. This is a long interview, about an hour, 30 minutes. This is a great interview. And like I said, I like opposing perspectives to a certain degree.
Okay.
So I was ready to get back home and get my shit together, for sure.
Okay, so you was motivated to get back home and just get to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I had like a 5-year plan. It took me 3 years, but I had like a 5-year plan to figure out a way to, you know, live overseas, basically.
So the young lady that you were with at the time had no idea that she was about to be replaced and none of that. So, so then let me ask you this.
I mean, you still was in a relationship.
You could literally start your own business.
Okay,
right
hold on, guys.
Shopify.
Excuse the commercials because it was so long, I couldn't really rip it.
It's easier than ever to do.
So you might see a few commercials in here.
Okay, cool. But the
he's Brazilian, you know, who's basically Asian. You know
yeah, that's crazy. I know it's a lot of Japanese in Brazil.
Right.
It's about what you think that we have a hard time finding in our community. Not that it's not there, but why was it easier for you to find it in Thailand, but you couldn't find it in Black America?
You know, I dated quite a few women, man. It's just the energy. Okay, so I want to stop right there. O'Shea asked basically, why couldn't you find a wife in the black community? What made you find a wife in Thailand? Okay. And basically I answered that once again. You know, it's cultural differences that, you know, favor a traditional family in Thailand. You know, they respect men in general. Okay. The feminism isn't as heavy out here. And, you know, they you know, you can find you a good Thai woman, man, that's actually going to genuinely love you. Okay. Somebody said, why couldn't he find a wife in California? He's still in Uganda. All right. I said, O'Shea's in Africa. He is not really in this fight. Pro-black swirler. All right. But he broke that down too a little bit later on. All right. He broke that down too about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. I'm going to play that a little bit longer, deeper in the stream. You know, I'm tier 4, allegedly, apparently, because I married totally outside of my race. Tier 1 would be marrying a black person of Black American descent. His tier 2 is marrying a black person of the diaspora or continental African. All right. Tier 3 would be a mulatto. So that's marrying a mixed person. That's the Tariq Nasheed, all right, thing. Because, you know, Tariq Nasheed married And I'm gonna play some of his stuff in a minute. Another pro-black that married a mulatto, so he would be tier 3, and I would be tier 4. Basically, I married totally outside of my race. Basically, we're marrying an Asian woman. Somebody said Bruce Lee married up the Asian, even the black community though. All right, let's play this. And apologies if it's boring out a little bit, but I believe you'll be able to hear the audio pretty crisp. Energy, the vibes, her intentions, her own success. She's a school teacher, successful middle class type. And I can tell there was no intention, no financial incentive or anything like that, because she did well as well. And just the energy, man. When you a guy my age that's been through so much when it comes to certain relationships, you kind of know. You kind of know how to pick them. So that's what it really was. It just, being older, knowing when you find a good one, and just kind of staying down, man. Like, I respect her, she respect me. And, all right. And this is a big part right here. I said, as I got older, as an older guy, I know how to pick him a whole lot better now. Early on, and a lot of brothers, when we young teenagers in our 20s, we're going for, the big booties, the cute smiles, the la-las, the Keishas and everything like that. We know what we're kind of going for. We're going more for the exterior of a woman, right? We're going more for the, hey, look how fine my girl is and everything like that, which is fine. You're supposed to when you're young, okay? But as you get older, and Tarika, she even talks about it, so I'm gonna play some of that a little bit later on the show. But as you get older, your criteria changes, because the reality is a lot of us don't really know what to look for in general. We don't really know what to look for because our generations are so vastly different, right? So the generations of our grandmas and moms, we might be looking for women similar to them because that's where relationships with females start. But in this new generation, they're not on that type of time. Okay. And our generation coming up, it was all about going to college, getting a job, working in white corporate America. It wasn't necessarily about, romance or getting together or starting a family per se. Everybody was going for the mostly independent thing. So the women were vastly different. So now, like I said before, as you get older, as an older, male, you start to see that, okay, socially, the dynamics have changed drastically. In some cases, they can even be our competition. And it's all about, what can you do for me now? How do I benefit? Not how do we benefit off of this relationship? So like I said before, one of the criteria of me being in a good relationship is trying to find a woman that's not only, financially yoked, but also mentally yoked, also wants the family, seeing the family as one instead of as separate. In a lot of cases, you got a lot of black men who will pay all the bills in the home. Now I've seen this, my whole life. These sisters will stack, not all, but some of these sisters will stack up their bread as the man pay all the bills. They'll stack up 40, 50, 60,000, and then they'll file for divorce on your ass and take your house that you've been paying the mortgage on for the last 10, 15 years. That's pretty common in Atlanta. All right. Let's continue. We got 75 in the room, guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button. We in here. It was about that time. You know what I'm saying? She was the one. And I feel like every man will find the one once or twice. Lightning strikes maybe once or twice in our lives, and it's on you to make that decision if you want to go further or not.
Okay, let me ask you this: do you think that if you would have met her in 2018, that you were mature enough to say, okay, I'm gonna just deal with this one? Could you have said that then, or did you need to go through some things?
I had to go through some things. I had to do a little traveling. I had to do a little exploring. I had to definitely go through some things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I know we kind of beat around the bush, explaining all of that. But now, what was the response like? Because when I see kind of like the founder of the Passport Bros, and now he's in Thailand, and he's married to a Thai woman, And the Passport Bros was really a movement, in my honest opinion. I know everybody has adopted your ideology now, that they're like non-blacks, but it's really kind of what I believe, is inspired by Charles Tyler, which was the black man's option ideology.
Right.
And it's really for black men explore when I look at the Passport Bros, what I see is the same message, just a little bit more organized to Charles Tyler, which is black men explore your options, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, you're with a woman that's not from our community or from or from our diaspora, and the child is mixed, black and Asian, and that child probably would, if you move back to Atlanta, that child would have some cultural advantages because of the skin complexion. What do you say to people that will say, okay, well, if you complain about white supremacy and racism, but you've also contributed to the paradox of colorism?
If you have ever...
All right. Let's stop it right there. Because that was a good question. Hold on. Let's stop it right there. All right. Now, being from Atlanta, being from the ATL, I don't think colorism plays a large factor, me personally. Do mixed people have more opportunities in America? If you got any type of melanin in you, they're going to look at you as different regardless. There are other factors at play. All right. Hold on. Let me pause that real quick. So we bored a little bit. Somebody said, "Hey, to say it, but it's shout out my man, the Black Cleaner in the house." All right. But yeah, in my opinion, man, just to answer his question, do I feel like, by marrying an Asian woman, by having a mixed child, that, that child, I'm contributing to colorism? I don't believe so. I believe America is one of the most strict one-drop systems on the planet. You black, they're going to treat you a certain way regardless. If you're being mixed, or if you're dark-skinned, they're going to treat you a certain way. It's our job to be able to give opportunities to the youth. That's what I feel like. And Atlanta is a different type of city. All right. I would say it's somewhat insulated. Listen, Atlanta is a special city. I've been in court at times in Atlanta, and the black judge just throws everything out. And I've been in court with Atlanta like that. Atlanta is a black city. So I don't think that, because we got mixed people, light skin, we got all types of shades. So I don't believe, that's going to be contributing to colorism per se. It's not like, Spanish colonization where they create a whole subset of people like they did in Colombia or something like that. Like when they taking the natives brown into white, basically. It's not that serious. Okay. Daddy Supernova, you say that's not true? Kevin Rose, Atlanta is finished. Yeah, you know what? A lot of people were hitting me up about the interview. A lot of people shout out to everybody. I'm terrible at responding on Facebook Messenger because I don't even have Facebook Messenger on my phone. I might see a Facebook message like weeks later when I check it on my laptop. But a lot of people reached out to me and said how well the interview was. Shout out to Change for the Better with 1-1. He said, you did a good on the interview to two-man. You hung O'Shea up when you asked him the last time he dated a black American woman that threw him off. Yeah, O'Shea's been overseas for like a decade. I think he left the States around 2015. So he's been overseas for a while, But appreciate that Change for the Better. Somebody said, shout out to Keisha Whisper Ashley. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is, bro. Somebody said white supremacy, not Asian supremacy. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue. And so it just, it just is what it is, man. It is what it is. But at the same time, O'Shea, to go on a deeper level, I do agree with your ideology. I do feel like, hey, man, in a perfect world, you should date a woman within your community. You should.
Okay.
But we're just not in a perfect world, man. And in a lot of cases, we're not as compatible as we should be. And your mate can be your worst enemy in most cases.
Right.
All the guys that went to school, high school and college with, all got put on child support. All got divorced. All like 100 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, sure.
when you come to playing that game, I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong. We're not going to the gender war and all the issues that we have in our community. But at the same time, I just feel like, man, if you got a woman that's going to follow your program, especially as a Black man, when you kind of have certain disadvantages, I'm not saying you can't be successful, but you might have certain disadvantages. You can't afford to be arguing in your home and going out to fight in the world as well for your money, for your economics. You need to be able to come home to peace. Your mate needs to be, whether you rich, whether you broke, whether you down and out, she needs to be there for you, bro. And a lot of Black men have broke. I've seen it with my own two eyes because their mate wasn't for them. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't with it.
Yes.
It got tough and they got the hell on.
So what you're saying is the fear of seeing other Black men who were probably, some of them successful, maybe most of them, fall to something like child support, divorce, even though you had never been through that, and I have never been married, that was something that halted you from maybe wanting to go forward with not even just a Black American woman, just seriously anybody in America, because of what you saw. So then you also said that Black people control culture, right?
You're very influential, yeah.
Okay, so then how much culture do you think that Black men control?
Man,
like around the world.
We are a unique people, man. And I've been in every single country I've been in, and I've heard our music. I've seen our style. I see how they wear their hats and everything like that all throughout the Dominican Republic, Brazil, Cambodia, all right, Japan. All these countries, their style is they're mimicking our music and our style and everything. So we're very influential, man. That's a special thing because if you tap into their music, you be like, oh, that's cool, but it ain't really like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't really vibing like that. Like our music. Bro, I'm in Brazil, in Rio, in just a little hole in the wall. Shout out to my man DJP. We in there at DJP, and they playing what was that? Escape or something. Like they playing like our music. They playing our music, man. I've been in Cambodia and they playing local music from Atlanta. They playing D4L or something like that. So yeah, it's be unique, bro. Be unique. We are
so let me ask you this.
Soundtrack of the world.
You've got 17 different creative subscriptions, pal. Give it a rest. And Vado.
All right. So he's going to ask me a really good question in a second. Hold on.
Black men control culture if it comes to something like fashion, something like music. But then when it comes to how to lead a family, how to deal with, building infrastructure that women can build on, then really the real culture is Thai men or Dominican men or Brazilian men, because despite they have the lack of resource, they do have their own country. I mean, they can put their women in a better position than we can. So we have to go to their culture and find a woman from their societies, because when it comes to producing something that somebody wants, we can't do that. So we got to go to someplace else and get it from somewhere else. Is this kind of, even though you're not saying it, if anybody were to listen to that, that's what would be implied. So we control everything else. We got the money. Black men got skills. You're widely talented. We've already talked about that. You're enterprising. So how is it that a man that has less than somebody like you, who is not as talented as you, because I mean, people are interviewing from BBC. I've seen you build this from nothing, bro. Like I see from zero. You don't get a lot of credit. Like, and as far as the manosphere ideology as an architect, like you should be up there with us. Mm-hmm. You know, when you talk about like Obsidians, Kevin's, you're right up there, in my opinion. People don't want you credit for it. So you can't be up there if you're not a special guy. So now, how is a person like you that can't build the community, because you're building it right now? So you can't. You if the women don't want to listen to what you're doing, so the Thai men got to do it. The Filipino men can do it, and we got to go there and get somebody. I don't understand. I mean, that's what somebody's going to understand. They're going to have a hard time putting it together. How can a talented man like you, who's resourceful, you can do everything, and you can't get women into your society that will want to be a part of what Aaron Ferris got going on? I mean, I'm gonna say this again. I don't know, let you respond. Aaron Ferris built a community that everybody in the world wants to be a part of, or either everybody wants to be a part of it, or everybody hates it, right? Yeah. So if a man can do that, he's also able to attracting those women to his community at his will. There is no way he can do that and not do the other thing.
All right, that's like two. O'Shea touched on a few things there. All right, but that's two totally separate things. There's a lot of talented brothers in the Black community. I will always almost say that most Black men have some unique talents within their community, but those talents don't necessarily form to choosing or being able to pick a good mate for yourself. All right. Somebody said Black men do not run this country. We are just citizens fighting for our continued freedom. All right. I can only speak on my personal experiences being in Atlanta. I only live in Atlanta for the most part. Of course, I traveled all throughout the United States, but I can only speak for my experiences in Atlanta. And you could be a very talented individual. You could be an NBA player, bro. Okay, you could be an NBA player. You can be a rapper. It does not matter. If women have a vitriol towards you for whatever reason, maybe because how they grew up, maybe because how they were programmed, maybe because how they was raised, it does not matter what your status is in the States. We see it all the time. All right. We just saw it with, what's the guy name? The basketball player with Megan Thee Stallion. Well, we saw it with Michael B. Jordan. Your talent does not matter, right? Even your status does not matter. There is a low-key undermining of disrespect when it comes to Black relations in the United States in 2026. That is just what it is, okay? Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, right? This is the reason behind somebody that has a high status, that has a high net worth, can still get divorced, all right? Can still get divorced or get ran through the judicial system and get shooken down legally for millions of dollars. So your status probably makes it even worse, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, the street niggas, they ain't got to worry about no damn status. They don't got to worry about no money. They ain't got to worry about being in shape. All right. That's who they want. It's only when you like a good brother, average brother. I don't even want to say average, but it's only when you a brother that has some form of common sense that you got to be this high status, multi-gazillionaire dude to get an American woman. All right. For the most part. Exactly. Pookie don't gotta do shit. Pookie ain't gotta do nothing. Pookie ain't gotta have a car. All right. Pookie ain't gotta have a place to stay. I seen it with my own two eyes, man. I used to have some partners who lived with their moms, and they didn't struggle at all, but they were street cats. They were street dudes. All right. With borrowed cars, pull up on a chick. I know street dudes used to smash college-educated women, some that even went on to be mayors of Atlanta, on dingy mattresses in spare bedrooms in the hood. All right. Hold on, the Black cleaner in the building. I got a Black cleaner. We got 100 guys in the room. Guys, do me a favor, make sure you hit that like button. All right, and I want to do a panel a little later on in the show. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link because we still got a little for more things to tap into on this interview. But I'm going to start dropping a link so you guys can pile up, because I want your guys' opinions as well. And if you disagree with me, still come on. All right, we ain't got to always be go along to get along. I want your opinion. That's why the interview was so good with O'Shea. Somebody said, Jody, I was not a fan of that movie Baby Boy like that. Maybe because I'm not a big fan of Tyrese, but I just wasn't a fan. That wasn't one of my favorite movies. All right, the black community. I live in Decatur. I've dated Japanese. I guess that's Japanese. Broke up with her to date a black. Why you say it like that, black? Clearly, to date a black, and regretted it. My Asian girlfriend didn't have a survival mindset. It takes time to look for the quality of women in our community. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Clay Thompson. Yeah, Clay Thompson. Somebody said, I wish you would have told them that you're building the black community in Thailand. I would say we're building the black community in Thailand. But I would say that guys are working on building the expat community in Thailand, an American expat community in Thailand. All right. Somebody said black men don't run this country.
It's not possible. So how is it that, because if those guys are so talented, then the Thai guy will be talking about passport bros. I'll be interviewing him and not you. So what does it say about us as a group of men that we have to go to somebody else's culture to deal with women that they trained up when they're not even as talented or I won't say as talented, but I'll say they don't have the opportunities that we have. How do we do that?
All right, I want to stop it right there. What does that say about us as a group of men that have to go outside of our community to find, I guess you want to say, suitable mates to marry and be in long-term relationships? That is a powerful question. What does that say? And I'm not going to pull no punches here. That says that our community is technically in shambles. That's exactly what that says. Okay? That's exactly what that says. It says that, hey, man, you know, the selection isn't the best. And unfortunately, in 2026, you might need to have the option to Pirate Bay that thing. You got to lead. All right. We are in a position as a group of men similar to what those white men were in a position were back in the 1600s when they left Europe and explored the world, went and colonized the world. Now, we're not on that type of violent time of colonization, nothing like that, but they left for a specific reason. Europe was violent. Europe was overcrowded. The black community is violent. Okay, in a lot of cases, most cases, not all, but most of the inner cities are pretty violent. Okay, your dating options are very limited in most cases. And once you start valuing yourself as a man, you will see that, hey, man, I deserve a little bit better. I deserve to have some form of peace when I get home. So, yes, that does say a lot about us as a group of men. That might even say that we don't have it all together. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Unless all black men, all right, get on the same page, get on some type of form of code, and be able to hire sisters straight out of college, we're going to have issues, okay? The biggest thing that kind of took us down the road outside of the crack, this is my opinion, right? Because crack was bad, right? I'm going to bring it home in a moment. I'm going to land my plane in a moment. But the crack epidemic was bad. But when they start to funnel government social programs within our community, that hurt black relationships the most, in my opinion. All right. When they could not have a father in the home, when they was able to get Section 8 housing and government assistance, food stamps and all that, that took the responsibility of having a man in the home to help discipline those kids. All right. That separated us to a certain degree because there could not be a man in the home, and those social workers used to go by them project housing. All right. And on top of that, a few years later, you introduce crack and heroin within our communities, and we just haven't been the same since, bro. We haven't been the same since. And I can't honestly tell a young black male that he will find a suitable mate within his own community. I can't tell him that. I'm gonna have to tell him, hey, man, you know, you know, a brother married an Asian. So, you know, you might need to have that option. All right, we got our first super chat here. All right, D. Coldest Jenkins 5868 with the first super chat of the day says, the dating scene in Black America today only benefits Pookie and Tyrone. Non-select Black men must get their passport and explore non-Western options. I agree. Listen, man, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make it sound fly to you. The one thing is about being a man is being very logical, very cold to a certain degree on assessing your environment. You have to like we don't necessarily trade the environment. We have to manage the environment. And the current environment it in, once you recognize it to be a certain way, the best thing you could do is just protest with your feet. All right. If you in your late 20s, early 30s, if you haven't found a suitable mate by then, you might want to think about the passport bro ideology. All right. They try to talk shit about passport bros and all this, but it's the most actionable, all right, ideology out of all the ideologies. Being a pro-Black to me is like, okay, what's the actionable item? What are we doing? Are we having pro-Black banks or something? Are we building infrastructure? What are we doing? All right. To be a Black conservative, all right, what is the hell is that? You get pulled over by the police and you're going to tell them that you're a Black conservative, you have a Black conservative card? What is that? But being a passport, bro, being a global citizen of the world, that's an actionable item. You actually got your passport, all right? You're actually learning different languages. You actually know different currencies. You actually have different bank accounts in other countries, all right? You might be working on your second or third passport, all right? And you're able to date other cultures of women that might have more of a traditional mindset than the ones that come from your own community. To me, that's the most best ideology, in my opinion, to have as a man in general, just not Black men, but just in general. All right. Dakota Jiggers 5868 $2 super chat, man. I really appreciate that. He says, Kappa Sigma's Q's run through college girls, though. Well, that's college. That's college. College is different. College is a little different, especially for my generation of college. All right. But I appreciate the $2 super chat. You know, that's a deep question, man. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, because of the social programming of our community, I do think brothers need to expand their options more. I'm not saying you can't date a sister in America. You know, I got sisters, they all been married 10, 20 years. I'm not saying they're not no good ones. But at the same time, you have certain aspects in our community that do make it difficult to have a productive family where the man is the head of the household. All right. So I'm going to pause it right there. All right. I just gave the same exact answer as I did with O'Shea. I'm going to skip through this timeline just a second here. All right. Apologies for the bullshit commercials here. Hold on. 2 later, you know, I'm doing an interview. I'm interviewing a Chinese American guy. You know, okay, I want to play this part right here. You know, and I wasn't even dating this girl. She was just my personal assistant at the time. You know. All right, so
and obviously, if somebody
okay, so at this portion right here of the interview, he asked another real question. He asked me, "How do the local men feel about, you know, brothers or foreigners in general dating their women?" And I said, "Hey, man, you know, I've been through not real situations like that, but I did notice a difference. If you're with a girl they deem as a lady of the night, generally speaking, in none of these countries that I've been to, that I lived in, are they going to have an issue like that? All right. But however, if they deem that you are with a quote unquote normal good girl, yeah, they'll throw some shade your way, most definitely. It's not nothing like, it's more so passive aggressive shade. Okay, I remember when I had my personal assistant, the Venezuelan personal assistant, shout out to her. the taxi driver in Colombia would get lost. I mean, several taxi drivers would get lost on purpose. They'll talk shit about me in Spanish, not knowing that. I know, enough Spanish to know when I'm being insulted. Okay, well, what else was it? I want to say in the DR, I had a little situation with a Dominican woman. It was like some white Spaniards type of a couple. Maybe they thought I was Haitian or something like that. But anyways, like I said before, you might catch a little slight if they deem that you're not with a working girl. Like if you got like a real, woman, basically, yeah. And that's even in Africa. Maybe not so much in Thailand. I don't really see it too much in Thailand. Thailand is like a special country. They're Buddhists and everything. They kind of are raised to be respectful. That's why I was telling O'Shea a little bit ago that within the interview, I was like, hey, man, Thailand's it's weird. It's very different because you got darker ties here. I don't want to call them Afro-Asians, but you got darker complected. Even when I was at the hospital yesterday, I'm giving my daughter, I had to get some vaccines with my wife. I'm seeing Thai guys, that's my complexion. So that's already here to a certain degree. And generally speaking, they're interested in foreigners and everything. But for the most part, yeah, you might catch some slack when the foreign men see that, hey, man, you got you a good one. Hold on, that belongs to me. Now, that being said, I want to say this. I'm going to catch a super chat in a moment. I want to say this. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, by the way. I was in Bangkok, excuse me, a couple of months ago. I was in Bangkok a couple of months ago. I was on Kason, how you pronounce it? Kason Road or something like that. Real nice little dope area. I mentioned it in the Passport Bros app. It's one of them places you can go to. The whole place, smell like dank. This real organic smell in that area. But anyway, so I see a sister with a white guy. All right. And this sister was beautiful. She was not beautiful in the sense with a whole bunch of wig and weave and a big ass, ghetto butt and nothing like that. She was just very nice looking. And I said to myself, damn, how'd he get that? She's what most black men want. A natural hair, nice weight, collarbone, no tattoo, sister. This is what most black men will want. Why is she with the white guy? That's the first thing I thought in my head. All right. That's not me being prejudiced or racist toward white people. That's just a natural, that I had in my mind. That's what went through my mind at the time when I saw her. Fast forward. I told O'Shea this in the interview. Maybe a month or two later, I'm interviewing a Chinese American guy. We had the conversation. We on Beach Road out here. I'm asking them about relationships and Asian relationships and everything like that. My wife, walks up at the time. She's like 7-8 months pregnant. She walks up and I can read his face that he's thinking the exact same thing that I'm thinking. I was thinking about the white guy with the good looking black woman. You see what I'm saying? So it's natural to feel some form of entitlement when you see your ethnic group with another race, right? So I don't necessarily deem that being prejudiced or racist in any way. It's just natural, in my opinion. All right, let me catch a super chat. I've been flowing for a minute. All right, Vibe 6502 with a $5 super chat, man. I really appreciate that, bro. Is being pro-black limited to just dating? Because everything else we pretty much patronize from other races. Okay, that's deep. Appreciate the super chat, by the way. So basically, if my understanding is correct, you're basically saying that we buy everything from other races of people. All right, we entertain other races of people. I mean, there are no black owners in the NFL. All right, small representation of ownership in the NBA. All right, we pretty much funnel all our millions of billions of dollars from our hands to other groups of people. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what I'm hearing here. Let me know if I'm getting that right, Vibes. All right. Dolomite. The man said Dolomite. 40 years ago, I decided to do better than did. All it took me was a job and college, financial aid. Is that really that hard 40 years later? It seems like our community has made little progress. Okay, I don't know what that was about. All right, let's continue with the interview.
That happened, that would probably cause some level of, beef between men there. what, like, don't you think? I mean, what kind of situation do you think that puts black men in?
You know what? That's a real interesting question. All right, so I just answered that question right there. Hold on, let's go a little bit further down.
Vibe coders ready to
Oh, they getting paid today.
In Atlanta, like, that's how the passport bros is, because you understood what black men were going through, so you had that situation going on, right? So do you think that we at some point, how do you feel about us as a group of men if we do decide, some of us, to do this? How much economic leverage do we lose by making this choice to be with somebody that's not in our community or in our diaspora?
All right, great question. How much economic leverage do we lose? All right, how much economic leverage do we do? We got 120 in the room. All right, how much economic leverage do we lose? Let me tell you right now, if you get married in the United States, you don't have any economic leverage at all, even in some cases with a prenup. Let's be honest. That's the last thing we have in the United States. Now, to go further, we spoke on the fact that, we have certain opportunities in America that you don't have overseas as far as businesses and entrepreneurship. And I say that's true to a certain degree. But being an entrepreneur overseas is one of the better decisions that you can make as well, depending on the type of business that you're running. All right. If you're doing something like content creation or some type of marketing or anything to where, and we talked about this because O'Shea's been in Uganda and Kenya back and forth, and the cost associated to running a business overseas could be way cheaper than having to try to operate a business in the States. We're talking about economics here real quick, right? Versus you paying $2,500 to $3,000 monthly to rent a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment. You're paying $400 to $600 to $700 a month. All right, that gives you more financial leverage to be able to invest in your business. Now, in concerns of, are we, having multiple business overseas? Yes, we are. All right. I can name several businesses in every country that so-called passport bros like to go to, from Colombia to Brazil to Thailand. You do have brothers opening up businesses. Now, in concerns of, are those businesses in favor of you as far as the ownership? That model could change. Of course, in Thailand, they own 51%. You got to have a Thai business partner, all right, or be married or something to be able to operate a business in Thailand, okay? In Colombia, you can own your business 100%. In Brazil, I believe you can own your business 100% as well, but there are a lot of labor laws in Brazil that you got to be mindful of. So you do got guys that are out here doing it. You got guys in the Dominican Republic that own restaurants. Shout out to my man Cardell and Flip Flop. Okay, so you got businesses sprinkling out, because for the most part, man, I'm not saying we're just getting started traveling. No, I'm not saying that, but we're just finding that, I can open up a business overseas. A lot of brothers just not finding this out. Now, keep in mind, all right, one of the most famous streets in America. Let me see if I can pull him up. All right, let me see if I can find this. One of the most famous streets in Bangkok is called Soy Cowboy. All right, Soy Cowboy. All right, I'm trying to find if he pulls up. Okay, let me pull this up. Let's see if I can find him in video. Okay, here we go. See, a lot of you guys don't know this, but Soy Cowboy is one of the most famous streets in Bangkok. Let me move this real quick. Hold on. And this was started by a black man. All right. Hold on. Let me pull him up. He went out to Bangkok with a vision. Ex-military guy. Hold on. Here we go. So guys have been making moves. They've been making moves for a long time. A lot of you guys don't know this guy. T.G. Cowboy Edwards, retired U.S. Air Force officer. All right. He came out here with a vision and he opened up a bar. And if you know anything about Asian countries, if you do something that's successful, it will be copied. Okay. All right. So he went to like basically an area with nothing and started from the ground up. So guys have been building overseas for quite some time. We just don't know it. And fast forward 20, 30 years later, Soy Cowboy is one of the most entertaining streets, most legendary streets in Thailand. Yeah, you didn't know that this is international. International PTV says, yeah, BMT, we are opening black businesses. That means we are building the black community. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but TJ Edwards, guys, look him up. Look him up. We might put him in the Passport Bro documentary, by the way. We've been out here, man. We've been out here. He has a crazy story, by the way. They should do a whole movie on his story, too, because he had like 5, 6 wives. Asian wives, Thai wives. All right, let me catch this comment here. Hold on. Somebody, Dre the God, but that's a super chat, man. I really appreciate that. He says, hey, BMT, why are you not celebrating the Knicks are up? Man, I don't even watch sports like that. But, I'm definitely not a Knicks fan. I was a Knicks fan when they played the Bulls back in the day with Jordan. And John Stark slammed on Scottie Pippen. I believe he just dunked on Pippen and MJ. But, man, I don't really watch sports like that, fam. I'll be honest with you. I rarely watch sports. I've always been like that, too. Hell, I wrestled in high school. I didn't even play football. I wrestled. I was on a wrestling team. I'm more of a boxing fan, if anything. All right, let's get back to it. Where we at? Hold on. But yeah, a lot of people don't know about TJ Edwards, man. We've been out here. And like I said, he has a legendary story too. All right. Oh, Shay killing me with that title. I stopped dating black women and married an Asian. I never said that, by the way. But I get it. All right. Hold on. Before we continue, let me catch my man, Rowan the Traveler, with a $10 super chat. Shout out to you and O'Shea. I spent 20 years of my life trying to stay loyal to an ideal while being miserable. Life's too short for that. Time is the one thing a man never get back. You know what? I also said that. Shout out my man Ronan Travel, by the way, with $10 super chat. I said the exact same thing, Ronan. I said, hey, man, I didn't get married, so I was in my 40s. I felt like I gave the quote unquote black community and sisters, the best times of my age range, basically. So I agree with you, Roland the Traveler. And I know a lot of guys have done that. But like I said before, man, when you get older, you kind of know how to look them. You know how to pick them a little bit better. But shout out to my man, Roland the Traveler, man. Shout out to you and your success too, bro. Oh, we got both Ronans in the building. Ronan, you want to speak on this, bro? You want to come up and speak on this? I don't know if you're doing a show or not. All right. I think you said you was married in the States for like, what, 10, 15 years too? We got both Ronans in the building. We got Ronan Travelers and Ronan the Traveler. All right. Two of my guys. All right. I don't know if you saw that part of the interview. I don't know if you watched the full interview, Ronan the Traveler, but we speak on the DR as well in the interview. I was just saying how good the game is in the DR as far as the Dominican women running game on you. All right, let's continue. That's a great question. The interesting thing is, hold on.
Leave no sale behind with the world's best converting checkout from Shopify. Say goodbye to abandoned carts and hello to cha-chings in every channel.
All right, some of those guys are in engineering. Some of those guys. So there's like, when we say you want to have a say, what kind of say do you want to be?
Okay, here's a good one right here. the question was posed: what type of say do you want to have in the Black community? Too though, despite my wife being Asian, I still feel like, you know, I don't necessarily call me necessarily a pro-Black or anything like that, but I still feel like I should have a say. You know, I want to see my community do good as well. You know?
Okay, so let me ask you this then, right? Mm-hmm. So the successful Black men, I mean, it ain't always got to be like the richest people, but the most enterprising people, like people who can develop things for others, and you would be somebody like that, right? Mm-hmm. People that can develop ideologies and things and platforms that other people can use and benefit from.
Exactly, yeah.
So when the Black community says they see you, they see Byron Allen or somebody like Jamie Foxx, and obviously we're more successful than somebody like us.
Yeah.
But let's just say in general, any Black man that's just like doing whatever, right? So then they come back and say, okay, you probably don't have the problem that other brothers are talking about. Mm-hmm. And you want to say in the Black community, like what kind of say do you want to have to those, like when we say you want to have a say, what kind of say do you want to be able to have? Because, you know, people are going to automatically see like, okay, well, he's from Atlanta, it's Black city. So he came back with somebody that's not Black. And so what he's already made his choice in so many words. How do you respond to that level of criticism?
Man, one of my goals is to work with the inner city youth. I want to be able to take Black kids from these, you know, sketchy environments, these inner cities. You know, I'm not on no Anton Daniels shit. I love the Black youth, right? I think that's our tomorrow. I think we should take a strong focus on the next generation. I don't think we do that enough. We so quick to call them YNs and bash them. What my goal is to be able to, you know, take, you know, funds, organization funds, or create a nonprofit, go to these inner cities, Atlanta, Memphis, and everything. Bring these kids overseas to Brazil to meet the locals, to play soccer. Get them out these environments, man, right? So they can see that, oh, it's a bigger world than just Southwest Atlanta. You know, I was blessed enough to go to private school, but at the same time, on my dad's side, I'm in the projects. So I was able to see both worlds. I saw how, you know, my brother, you know, did 10 years in prison, and I went to college. You know, I felt like if my brother would have had the same opportunity that I did, because I was able to visit the hood in the summertime in the projects, but he actually had to live there full time. So he had a different set of friends, different set of decisions that he had to make. And, you know, he was in the worst neighborhood in Atlanta. All right, let me stop it right there. And that's what I was saying as far as, you know, there is no focus on the Black youth. There's never been a focus on the Black male youth in our community outside of them playing sports or something like that. You know, when I say I would like a say, that's because I would like to do a nonprofit where I take at-risk kids from these inner cities, Atlanta specifically, and I take them to Brazil, take them to Colombia. You know, we have mentors there, so it'll be a couple of mentors, counselors, to show them different parts of the world outside of the neighborhood, so they can see the world is much bigger than East Atlanta or the west side of Atlanta. I think that'd be game changing for some of those kids. So that's what I mean by I say that. You know, I don't know if that's pro-Black or not, but I would like to have a say in that. That was my answer to that. Somebody say, the only thing that bothers me about interracial coupling is that my kids won't look like me, and biracials tend to not procreate with Black, so the future of my bloodline would be not Black most likely. I mean, that's your opinion, bro. That's your opinion. And to me, that's valid. You know, that's valid. And that could be valid in some cases. All right. But at the same time, you never know in this day and age, by the time our kids get older, you know, interracial might be just what it is. So even if you have a Black kid, they still might date out. All right, now I want to get to this last portion before we do a panel. Hold on. I think it's right here.
My boss asked me to create 30.
1 second, family. Hold on. Apologies for these commercials, man. It was too long for me to rip.
That's the difference, right? So people they have the right to examine my behavior and see if it matches.
Okay,
It's
hold on.
like his ideology has changed over
Okay, here we go.
now
Hold on.
she's black. Then I would part of
Hold
me
on,
would
here we go.
always want to
I
be
wanna
with
play
somebody
this part.
black. And I probably still would feel like you, right? But she's dark enough, she at least looks like somebody from his community.
Hold on. We talked about Tariq Nasheed. If you guys don't know, Tariq Nasheed has totally switched it up. Some people started becoming that Tariq Nasheed. I don't really be coming at him, but he switched up his format basically. Because I was listening to Tariq Nasheed back in the day, back in like the Matt Lessons days. I'm even going to play a clip of his in a moment. But I posed a question to O'Shea about Tariq. I said, well, hold on, man. You know, Tariq Nasheed has been on record saying that black men should basically only be with black women that are mixed mulatto with a black dad and a white mom. And Tariq Nasheed went out and got his wife with a mixed woman, basically. Her mom is white. Her mom is white. So she pretty much, she was raised by her. She's going to kind of look at the world or internalize the world like her white mom to a certain degree. I'm sure she's black. But at the same time, I asked O'Shea about that. Hold on, let me see. Where we at?
Eighth, right?
Okay.
And with somebody like Frederick Douglass committing, so much, like Malcolm X. Malcolm X is not even all, let's say, Black American or whatever. Mom is from somewhere else, right? So it's so easy to say, but I think case by case and what their contribution is to the community. But on average, what I would say is people are going to, even for me, living in Uganda, if I come back when I was in Poland for like 7 years, if I came back to Poland talking the way I talk, nobody would take it seriously. Because the way that I talk about things is too strong, it's too passionate for me to talk like that with somebody white. If I talk like this and I have somebody Ugandan or Kenyan, that still passes to a certain degree because you could probably say, well, the lady, at least if she's dark enough, she at least looks like somebody from his community. So that means that he could marry somebody from the community, right? Now, if I come back with somebody that's like, let's say I end up with somebody like from Spain and talking like how I talk, and to be clear, you don't talk like me, so you don't make content like me. You don't take my positions. Jamie Foxx does though, right? People like you don't take my positions. I said that I was down with I'm down with Black Lives Matter, but like a part of me would always want to be with somebody black, and I probably still would. I would feel like you, right? But at the same time, I would know that if I introduce my Polish wife to somebody, I know that I'm going to not have as much credibility because she is white.
Oh, let me let the stream catch up real quick. I want to get this Tariq Nasheed part. I believe it's right here. I think I just had it. Hold on.
So what I believe is that you got black men that deal with somebody that's, and again, he did say that, but I don't hear him saying that now. Okay? It could have been that, because remember, when I first started in the black manosphere, I was the kind of guy that felt like you couldn't work with black people. I was actually a little bit more harder on black women at that particular time, 2015, than I am now.
All right, so we're talking about Tariq Nasheed. The stream is bogging a little bit, so I can't pinpoint it. But I asked him about Tariq and his statement about marrying a mixed mulatto woman. So let's play a little bit of.
He was being politically correct.
All right, let's play a little throwback from Tariq real quick. And I see you in the back, Ronan. I got you. Give me 1 second. Let me play this part right here. So I know a lot of you guys watch Tariq, the FBA, foundation, everything, the reparations, everything like that. And O'Shea's statement was that Tariq doesn't necessarily think like that no more. But he was a grown man when he made that statement. I think he thinks exactly the same. I think that people like Tariq, Dr. Umar, know that their donations raise the money. The majority of it comes for black women, so they've tailored their message differently. But this is Tariq previous to him going the pro-black FBA route. Let's see what he has to say.
Theme all the time. We just got a call from a gentleman, and he was being politically correct, but when I broke it down on what kind of woman he's dating, he's 31, he's dating a Puerto Rican female, which proves my point, which proves my theme of today's show. Do black men eventually outgrow black women? It seems like once a brother gets a certain age, they're just not fucking with the sisters like that no more. This is my observation. And I noticed that really the only dudes who deal with sisters, the only brothers who deal with sisters are like younger dudes or more immature guys.
What you said?
Because these are the only guys that will sit up and tolerate a lot of stuff that the sisters are dishing out. According to a lot of the brothers out here. Now, this isn't to say that all sisters are immature or all sisters don't have it together. Trust me, I know there's some sisters out there who have their shit together. I deal with women like that. But to be honest, it's very rare and far in between to find sisters like that. And I've said this on numerous shows. You know, when I say it, you know, the show, the link of the show goes all around the net saying that Tariq Nasheed is bashing black women again. Which I don't give a shit. Say what you will. I can go out here and say puppy, somebody say something fucked up about it. So say what you will. Since you're going to say what you will anyway, I might as well spit the truth, right? Or my opinion of the truth.
Here you go. Hold on.
But it does seem that a lot of black women are reduced to dating very immature guys or very young guys or young-minded guys. These are the only guys that will deal with the stereotypical so-called black woman attitude. Because we always hear about how messed up the brothers are. We hear about that all the time. But according to a lot of brothers, the sisters are just not stepping up to the plate like they should. Are there some?
All right, so I'm gonna stop it right there. I'm gonna go ahead and bring on the panel. But he also goes on to say in different Matt Lessons radio, he said that there's only about 5%, and I've heard Anton Daniel say this as well. He says only about 5% of the sisters are suitable for long-term marriage. He goes on to say that as well. This is back in the day. Now, like I said before, O'Shea said that his ideology has changed because this was like maybe 15, 20 years ago, but I think it's exactly the same. I think he's tailor-fitted in order for him to continue to raise, $250,000 $1 million in donations because he knows most of that's coming from black women. All right, let me go ahead and bring up the panel. I got my man Ronan in the building.
What up? Hey, I found that thing when you were referencing Tariq with the interview you just did with O'Shea. It's at 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 11 seconds. I just ran through the transcripts real quick.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think we got it. We got the gist of it, though.
All right.
But I appreciate that. Well, what up, Black Cleaner? What's good? What's good?
Salute to you, man. Long time no see, no hear.
I've been around. I've been here, man. I've been here, man. You've been the one being ghost.
Yeah, I'm over here building up, trying to be like you, man, when I grow up.
There you go. There you go, man. There you go. But appreciate you coming on, brother. Now, Ronan. Everything going with you, brother?
Everything's going well, man. I think the thing that started the interview with you was the whole thing with Jamie Foxx and the lady that he has. And I actually O'Shea's live that day, and I was getting interrogated by 5 brothers on the panel, including O'Shea, that same day on that live. It's like, yeah, we got to follow up. We got to follow up. But I think he chose to follow up with you because I named you as one of the people, especially being a passport bro, that showed the natural migration and growth that you should be going. Yeah, go out and sow your seed, whatever you want to do. But eventually you should be wanting to grow and start developing things overseas if you're planning on living there, finding a good woman, having kids, having a family, businesses. All those things should be the natural progression of any man changing as they get older. So I guess that resonated with him, and he came for you. Just
right.
Yeah.
Right. It was a good interview though, man. Like I say, it's okay to have different perspectives and everything like that. I get it. But what's your overall perspective on interracial? I kind of know, but just tell the audience, like, what's your whole mindset? I know you're married to a Filipino woman, so of course.
Well, I'm about to. I'm not married yet. We'll be married this year.
Okay.
But let me give you a background. I had my oldest son when I was just coming out of high school. I was in college. Dropped out of college, went to Marine Corps, got married. My first time while I was in the Marine Corps, stayed married for 6.5 years. That time had 3 children. So now I'm up to 4 kids. Right. Get married the second time about 8 years later to a woman that already had an 8-year-old son. Raised him till he was 19, 20. We got divorced. So I'm a 2-time offender, been a stepdad, been a full-fledged father. I've been through everything when it comes to this conversation. But and they were both black women. So I stayed in the good fight. You know, all my kids are grown now. My youngest son is probably about 25, 26 now. And my oldest son this month is turning 40.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So at that point, I've raised the generation that I'm talking to. And that's why I come on lives a lot, is to tell you in an uncle type of format or whatever, the same things I would tell my sons, my nephew, whatever. You know, but my ultimate reason why I'm here is not only one, developing income streams, and I'm working AI automation and some other things like that. But I was introduced to this young lady over the internet, talked to her for over 1.5 years before I even got on the plane to come over here. Constantly vetting and trying and testing and doing things. I've been here officially since May the 6th, a year.
Okay. So
So
I want to ask you this real quick. Do you still feel like you deserve a say within the so-called black community?
Oh, definitely. I done put my time in. I got roots in the whole organization. What you mean? I got 4 black sons, 2 grandchildren, 1 black grandson, and 1 black granddaughter.
Okay. So hold on. Let me say this. So let me play. Hold on, Ronald. Let me play devil's advocate real quick. Let me play devil's advocate. You know, let me just kind of placate where O'Shea is coming from to a certain degree. So let's say we're having a town meeting. We're talking on topics that affect our black town or whatnot. And you pull up with your Filipino wife.
Yep.
Do you still deserve a moment at the podium?
I absolutely do.
Okay. Ronan ain't gonna expand another. Ronan just like, yeah.
I absolutely do. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from getting there either.
But do you see what O'Shea's standpoint is though, a little bit? Or no?
No. I've had conversations with him, and I understand that he's pro-black, you know, dashiki and all. But you know, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily we have to stay loyal to our community, because brothers we innately are always going to be protector providers. Hypergamy comes in on the woman's side more so than the man. You know, and because our community itself, the black nuclear family, has been under attack since the 1950s. Is why we're in the struggle right now, you know, and now it's going to have to take a conscious effort on the black woman's part to help fix the community, because they don't want to hear anything we got to say, you know, until other black women start. And those are the ones that are being called pick-me's right now. The ones that are out there fighting a good fight, you know, trying to change the system's mind and everything else, you know, to stop fighting against the programming that they should be in line with, because we were more profitable as a black nuclear family than any other family unit in the United States. In the 1950s, we were so profitable. We had the highest line share of spending dollars, not only in our community, but outside of our community. You know, they had special little FBI films that said how to sell to the black community.
I've seen that.
Because there was so much money in our community that we were keeping to ourselves, people had to try to get it. So they actually came out with government studies to show you how you could cater towards the black psyche.
I remember seeing that. Man. They be studying the hell out of our ass. The black cleaner. Did you want to speak on this, brother?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I was there when he was talking to O'Shea, and basically it was what happened was, and I explained it, there was another guy on there who was similar to Jamie Foxx's situation where he wanted to be pro-black, but he's over here dating out of his race, and he was trying to put Ronan in the same box. But Ronan said, I got 2 black families in tow. So it's like what you just said. Okay, if he's showing up to the town meeting with his Filipino wife, okay, they might look at him sideways, but he got 2 black families in tow. So of course he can speak on, the black community because he got black families that's a part of the black community. But in terms of dealing with the women in America, what I notice is that you have, and I read this in Rich Dad, Poor Dad series, and he's talking about how the school system trains us and how to operate, or they have us programmed to operate on fear and greed. Those are the 2 things that they have us operate on. So when you're seeing, the women out here, they're looking for a man to be able to give them stability. But now as you was just talking about with the welfare system and the child support system and the infrastructure of the US, they're getting their stability from the government safety nets that's out there. So what happens now is they're like, okay, well, I don't need a man to give me stability. Now I need a man to fulfill my fantasies. Now they get greedy. And that's where the problem lies. Because when we step in, they're like, okay, if I'm gonna give myself to you, then I need you. I don't need you for stability. I need you to give me, what I'm looking for. I need my fantasies. But men are here to provide stability and protection and to help you elevate. You know what I'm saying? But we're supposed to be able to work together to elevate, not, I'm just going to pull you up. And you have some men that don't mind doing that, but those are few and far in between. And especially what you was talking about earlier. I mean, why am I going to be providing, all of this fantasy fulfillment for somebody who has, multiple children, or who isn't willing to chip in or put some skin in the game? So therefore, we go out to these places and, abroad to be able to find the women who's going to appreciate the things that we're bringing to the table, which is the stability, which is, the problem solving, which is the protection, and to work together to be able for both of us to elevate. And I'll land my plan there.
Oh man, good point. That's a good point. That's solid right there, man. Now, Ronan, I want to ask you this, Ronan. You say you've been through, two relationships previous to, the relationship you have now. Was that the reason that you decided to marry interracially, like to date or marry a Filipino woman, or expand your options?
No.
Or would you always like that? You always just took, no matter what, you always took the best woman for the job?
That's pretty much what it was. I usually took the best woman for what I wanted to do. And they usually were Black women. Okay. I've dated multiple races. That's never been a thing where I've had an issue with dating in and out of my race. But typically the women I married were Black women. So that wasn't even a discussion on that, and whether I had a shade to, preference or anything like that. My first wife was light. My second wife was dark skinned. So you can't even mark me on that. I'll go either way.
I was telling O'Shea the same thing that you. I was just like, because he was saying, I see you got a preference from your, dating history. You like him light skinned. I'm like, no, I didn't say that. I like him either way. If I'm attracted to her, I'm not really into the colorism thing. I don't think most guys are really into the colorism thing. It's okay to have your preferences, but I think the colorism lies more on their side, the female side, than the guy side. I think the guy's just like, whoever gonna fix me a sandwich, whoever gonna keep their weight down,
whoever gonna bring me my piece.
Yeah,
give me my piece. Yeah.
But they accuse us of colorism. Then he went on to say that, and I don't know how you guys feel about this. He was saying that I'm contributing to the colorism spectrum by having an interracial or mixed kid.
We all mixed.
But I said, in my head, I'm just like, bro, if you look at the typical Black American family, you'll see from the same family now, you'll see from the lightest to the darkest. So we've already had that. It doesn't change anything per se because America abides by the one drop rule anyway most of the time, you know? So that was my opinion.
You're absolutely right. And that's what it is. I mean, I'm sorry, they bred us for over 400 years trying to get the best version of who we were as a people. Now they bred us that way, and it came to their detriment because they made us stronger and faster and everything else. So that's on them. They made their own demise when it came to that. But that also separated us more from being Pan-African and all that other stuff. You know, that's why we pulled towards being FBA real quick, because it actually did distinguish us from the rest of everybody else. We are different. We are more aggressive. You know, where Africans and other nations are a little more subdued in the way they do things, they kind of backhandedly do things.
And fight each other. And fight each other.
Yeah.
And fight each other, by the way. Now I got a question for you, Black Cleaner. In the conversation I had with O'Shea, he said, and Ronnie, you can touch on this too. He said that you can date outside to a certain degree, but there are different tiers to it. He mentioned that tier 1 is be another FBA sister. That would be the tier 1. Then he goes on to say tier 2 would be another Black person from the diaspora, whether she be from Haiti, whether she be from Jamaica or colonies Africa, basically. Then tier 3 would be a mulatto, a mixed person, you know, Black and white, whatever, mixed, you know. But then you got tier 4, which would be somebody totally outside your race. Would that be white or Asian or Latino? What do you say that through tiers? I'm guessing you're saying you're losing your loyalty the further you get away from, you know, your race.
Well, with me personally, okay, I'm very Afrocentric. So, but as I said, I like the certain style of, in that we just had this conversation yesterday, and on, you know, I like the crystal chicks. That's what they call them. The Jill Scotts, the Erica Badu's, the girls that's going to be doing all of the wellness and the, you know, O'Shea, my brother, Ashe, so be it, all of the candles.
They be some of the craziest chicks though, but go ahead.
Yeah, they do. Exactly. So, I mean, I kind of understand what O'Shea is saying, because when you do start to go overseas, you do see that, I don't know what it is. And we were just talking about it. Is it preference, or if it's a programming? Because you do start to see that a lot of the brothers that go overseas to Colombia and a lot of these areas, they are starting to date more in the tier 4 area. Like it's, you know, like it's a style, you know, I mean, anytime I went to Cartagena and I'm at the beach, I don't see the brothers dating the dark-skinned Afro-Colombians. I see them dating the Mestizos and the Blancas. Man. So it was like, really? what is that about?
I think the opposite when I see. I be seeing brothers with the Afro-Colombians. All I dated was Afro-Colombians. So I don't know, man. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see one or two, you know what I'm saying? But the majority of them that I was around, they always anytime we went to any of the clubs at like Playa Blanca or, you know, the Deliriums or what have you, you always see them looking for the long hair, big booty, light skinned chick, like the Angela Valdez's and the Ava Mendez. And they're like, oh, I got me something now. And I'm like, okay, so pretty much you're using that Eurocentric standard of beauty. And that's really what I'm thinking.
Hold on, Black Cleaner. Hold on. I'm glad you said this. So what's the difference between a Black guy like in the Eva Mendez and a white guy going to Kenya getting the most blue blackest chick? Guys, it's like something different, exotic.
No, it's pretty much just the same. It's a fetish to me. Because as you was just saying, okay, if he wasn't able to get that in the States, you know, a high yellow or a red bone chick or whatever, and then, or he was able to get it in the States, and now, you know, it was giving him problems. Now he's going out here to go find that person who it's more of a fetish. And once they accomplish their fetish, then they get that clarity, like, okay, is this woman going to be able to give me my peace? Now they start to see, okay, what's going on with this female? They done got their fetish oats sold, and now they're starting to deal with, okay, what is she bringing to the table? And a lot of times, what I've seen is some of them are just on the same BS that a lot of the sisters that's on that mainstream, what have you done for me lately mindset in the States is on. And you got to deal with that.
Now, Black Cleaner, I got to admit, now you just mentioned certain areas like Hollywood Beach, and then you mentioned Delirium. I mean, these girls going to have a certain mindset. You can't put that on all the women that's in Colombia now.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
But
okay, let me catch this comment real quick about Ron the Travel, $10 super chat. The real system hates strong masculinity, especially in the Black community. That's why anytime Black men speak, lead, or think independently, they try to discredit him.
That's it, Cuzzo. That's it. Yeah, he's right.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Great.
And I don't know if y'all saw in the comment section of that interview, the sisters was roasting my ass. They was like, they were saying all types of shit. And I was like, okay, I get it. I ain't take it personal though. But go ahead and finish your thoughts, Black Cleaner. I'm getting right to you, Ronan. Go ahead and finish your thoughts, Black Cleaner.
No, I mean, I kind of agree with what O'Shea was saying. I mean, in terms of the tiers, yeah, I mean, the
So
more
hold on. So do you stay in a certain tier yourself?
As I just told you, but it's more on the Afrocentric vibe, more or less.
So you between tier 1 and tier 2, or just okay? Yeah. So you still date sisters in the States, and you date Afro-ish sisters, tier 1, tier 2. What about mixed women?
If, as I said, it's about the vibe. If they're bringing that Afrocentric vibe, I'm going to date them. If they ain't, because a lot of the people that's in tier 3, tier 4, when I start, asking them about, certain music that I like to listen to, or, spirituality, they're in the mainstream mindset. So that's what turns me off of them. It's like, oh, you don't know nothing about, Ari Lennox? Oh, you didn't hear the new, they'll ask me, did you hear the new Drake? And I'm like, nope, I haven't even bought that thing yet or listened to it on YouTube.
I'm happy my girl ain't never listened to no damn Gucci Man, personally.
You see what I'm saying? So that's really what it is for me. That's because, I've dealt with, the mestizos and the blancas and all of that. But every time that I deal with them, they're bringing me outside of my level of comfortability, which is we're listening to, Karol G, and we're listening to Top 40 and all of that. And I'm like, I don't like going in that realm.
But it's all our music, brother. It's all
I know it's all out, but I feel comfortable on this side of the fence. That's really what it is.
So your dating preferences is women that listen to Gucci Man, Waka Flocka,
no,
most bands, Juicy J.
No, most deaf. The Tribe Called Quest. Remember, I'm in the 80s, 90s, Boogie Down Productions. Stuff like that.
So you talking about some old chick now? Because ain't no chick you don't know about Tribe Called Quest unless she born in the 80s, bro.
Hey, she could be an old soul. And it's funny that you say that, because when I was living in Japan, okay, when we went out to look for the Asian women, we went to the clubs that played hip hop, reggae, R&B, and we would deal with those women, because of course they had plenty of Japanese women who like that type of music. But I didn't go and try to deal with the traditional Japanese girl. So I would always deal with the ones who was attracted to us, and it's the same thing for me being in Panama right now. When I go out, I'm going to the places where, they're listening to reggae, they're listening to R&B music. They're listening to all of those things because now we have a common ground. But no, I'm just not going out there, just talking to every little big butt, girl with long hair that attracts me. No. I think we have to have a common ground that we can be able to identify, because, of course, there's the language barrier. So since we have the language barrier, that's automatically going to, be a turnoff for her. But if we are able to, have a common ground, which is music, now we have something that we can work with.
That's a good point. Ronan, you want to respond? Are you a tier 1, tier 2 guy, or do you date all the tiers? What's going on with you?
First of all, I'm a human. I'm part of the, no. First of all, I'm a human, so I'm a part of the human race. My ethnicity or genome type is I'm FBA, Black American. Okay. Let's get that right first. I'm part of the human race. We have ethnic types, which are located by cultures or countries or whatever you want to call it. The biggest thing is the problem is dilution of the race. We know in Latin America is, always improve the race. What they're worried about with that one bag rule and everything else is you can't dilute a Black person. You can dilute any other race with Black, and that turns them into us. So understand that's.
I don't know, man. You see Mahomes' family?
Hey, it don't matter. He's still technically what?
I'm talking about his kids. You see his kids though.
Then that's where we get into the point of people passing. And that was a thing back then because we were ashamed to be what? Ourselves, Black. But that's changing too. And that was the fear of why the United States also started liquidating and saying that you can't get abortions, because guess what was getting bred out because of abortions? They thought Black people were going to take advantage of that more so than their own people. Now they are lacking, just like other cultures that said they only could have one child, and most of them wanted to have men. Black people as a whole, we're the cradle of society. What they fear about us is our strength, our intellect, and everything else. They try to make us feel dumber than what we really are. We were the driving force that kept society running from the Moors on. So at the end of the day, that's what they fear about us. And that's why they always have little infighting going on between my skin tone, y'all skin tone, whatever the hell it is. There's always some kind of infighting, even when it comes down to white people. At first, Jews weren't considered white. Irish people weren't considered white. So they made them feel a little bit better than us. There's always some kind of infighting there on the end goal. Globally, everybody has melanation beside the ones that are inferior. White people have a melanation issue. Globally, people are cosplaying to be lighter than what they are. If they stop dyeing their skin from Asian cultures to whatever, they would be darker. Here in the Philippines, they call it the Ekta people. The Ekta people are dark skinned with curly hair. They're even more genetically sound than the Aboriginals that are down in Africa. So when you start looking at all these different things, it's not that they're superior. They're afraid of losing their leg up.
That's a good.
Out of cultural defense, what are you going to do? You're going to try anything and everything to deflect the real truth. And we all know history is written by the victors, so it's called history, not facts. So if you're basing everything you know off of history, go look at who wrote that book.
I told O'Shea in the interview, I was like, man, I think the word is amalgamation or something like that, when they try to mix the. I said, man, in somewhat cases that's backfired, because if you look at it globally, they still have a negative birth rate, and we're still in the billion population.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, you do have subsets and pockets of, Brazil and Colombia, where generally speaking, they lighten their skin up, DR and all that. You do have that, but that's still less than the billion strong that we already have. And I said, listen, man, we're still a billion strong. We still have a positive birth rate globally.
Right. We're outpacing them, period. We're outpacing them, period.
Exactly. And on top of that, Ron, I don't know if you know this, but the world is heating up. They said in Thailand, it's going to be like the next 20 years, it's going to be even hotter.
It's hot here already, bro.
Oh, hey, it was 108 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday, brother.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you go to 108 degrees in Thailand.
You want a steam pot.
Yeah, it's hot, bro. It's hot. But yeah, man,
the whole thing is people are dyeing their skin to make themselves look like the colonizers and be accepted on a global scale. But at the end of the day, they have more melanation than they appear to be. No, even here in the Philippines, my lady was bullied. She's the Morena by standards. A Morena is still used here because, remember, the Spanish colonized the Philippines first. So they use same Spanish terms, Morena is one of those words of being darker skinned, or they have negra. Negra is also a part of the culture in certain names for black, you know, and because she was darker skinned and she had naturally curly hair. Because of a mixture of being of the Cyan, Igorot, and Tagalog, but she also has Spanish history in her ethnicity. But she had long, curly black hair, so she was teased. Even though everybody was on the same playing field, everybody had the same kind of income. There was always some way of having infighting to divide the cultures. So that you don't focus on what? The top. You're trying to step on the next man to get to the top. You're not worried about what they're doing. You're just trying to get up there and breathe the same air.
That's a good point. Do you think with everything that's going on now, just in your opinion, in the United States, let's say you were talking to a group of young men, just socially, casually. Do you think, because our generation is different, like, you know, I know you're a little older than me, but I still feel like we had more options than the current youth, in my personal opinion.
Oh, hell yeah, we did.
Would you steer black men into traveling and dating interracially, or would you say, hey, man, you still can find a good traditional woman here in the States?
I would steer them both ways, but it depends on the personality and the person. We got a lot of incels in America, and I hate to say that. You know, 70% of black men
they didn't grow up talking to women like we did. We didn't have dating apps. We had to. I was telling my man Jay Clyde this. I said, bro, do you remember when you was 14, 15, and you had to actually go and approach?
You had a pad of paper and a pen in your pocket at all times.
Right. They don't do that.
No, they don't. And that's the entitlement part. What's that phrase? And there's like a video that goes in every generation, the generation next gets weaker. We at that cycle where they're at their weakest. Now we need to cycle back to getting them strong again. And it's going to take people like our generation X.
How do we do that if no man's
at
home?
Keep on mentoring these men in the process of good thinking and staying on their analytical side and not allowing black women and their mothers to pull them. Break your son-husband roles. First of all, get out of that factor of you got to bow down and whatever to you, the black women in your society and your community and even in your own home. My mother's 82 years old. Believe me, I am no son-husband. I rule my father's name. You understand what that means? Really, the lineage comes from the man, not the woman. So you should be running your household, even if it's an extended household and your mom is somewhere else.
That's a good point.
But what was the question? Because I skip in and out.
No. You basically answered it. You were saying mentorship, and you were steering in both directions.
Yeah, I would, and it just depends on, you know, and get from underneath the computers and hey, if you're doing AI, that's great, but go outside sometimes, man. Learn how to have a conversation.
This is what I would tell a group of young men. I would say, keep in mind, after college, it gets increasingly difficult in America to find a suitable mate for a traditional family. All right. That's what I would tell them. I'll say, man, listen, post 25, it can be, you know, it can be difficult. You might want to start expanding your options a little bit. Black Cleaner, what would you say about that? I know you're looking at a lot of looking for them Erykah Badu's. What would you say?
He's looking for my family members.
Erykah Badu was crazy as hell, by the way, bro.
Yeah.
But I met Erykah in real life, man. She is fine in the motherfucker, man. I knew Erykah Badu was thick before she came out with a video walking in Dallas. I remember because her and Andre came to our high school and like our talent show and everything. And I was just like, that the Tyrone girl? Like, goddamn, she thick. So yeah, she's been bad.
Yeah, number one, I would recommend the water is greener the grass is greener where you water it. That's number one. So whoever you choose to be with, just make sure you're going to have to grow and develop it. But also number two, okay, what I've noticed, and I got this from my brother. He said, And I've even heard Taylor Made Dream say that. He said the closer that you get to the West, the more of that Western social Darwinistic mindset they have. So if you put 10 women in the room, okay, 8 of them is going to have that, what have you done for me, survival of the fittest. I need a man to be able to do this, and that for me mindset. And you're going to find 2 of them. Okay. The further that you get away from the West and you go towards the East, if you get as far as East as you all are at in Thailand, the Philippines, etc., you're going to find the women who are, if you put 10 in a room, you're going to have 8 of them that are going to be, let's work together in order to grow and develop our relationship and our legacy mindset. And you're going to have 2 of them that are going to have that, what have you done for me, social Darwinistic mindset. So you just have to choose what you would want to do. Do you want to sit here and find the 2 in America and grow and develop with them? Or do you want to go abroad and start looking, where the stock is more better? It's just like stock investments. Are you going to, go with a falling stock, or are you going to go with a rising stock?
Okay, so hold on, Black Cleaner. So are you basically saying that you're still dating, but you're dating within those tiers? I had to bring it back to them tiers, but you still with the Afro-ish more so.
Yeah, anywhere I go in the world, I'm looking for the Black. I'm looking for the Blasian. I'm looking for the Afro-Latina. I'm looking for the Black American. Wherever I go, that's what I'm looking for. But I'm also, as I said, anywhere that I go in the world, I'm also looking for me. So when I go to Thailand, like you was talking about, Soy 6 or whatever, I'm looking for where we hang out at. When I go to Japan, I'm looking for Cowboy. Exactly, Soy Cowboy.
We're not talking about Soy 6.
Sorry.
Right.
Soy Cowboy, the Tiger Bar, if that's still there. But all of those places where we hang out at. When I go to Japan, I'm looking for customs. I'm looking for, all of the places we hang out. When I come to Panama, I'm going to Daiquiri 23. When I go to DR, I'm going to, Flip Flops. I'm going to where we're at. And because that's my place of comfortability.
So you're still kind of a pro-Black, basically. In a way. You just pro-Black with a passport.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. And you know what's funny, man? I actually see your brother that walks every morning. He's on the beach road, and he has and I hate to use the word Afro-Asian because I don't think that's even a term, but I have seen brothers with Black Asian women, dark as me. So it is out here. It's out here. Do you see that a lot in the Philippines too? Are they? I know you mentioned it before, but just in your daily life, do you see darker skinned Asians?
Yeah, like I said, it's a big problem here in the Philippines because if you know the history, Philippines right after the Spanish-American War were owned by the Americans, and the Buffalo Soldiers came over here, and some of the soldiers that fought in the Civil War came over here, which were Black soldiers. They stayed.
Oh, that's Buffalo City, right? Buffalo City,
right? And then you got David Fagan, who also turned against the United States military and fought with the Filipinos to help them rise up and try to get their own independence. So you had Black Buffalo Soldiers that established relationships with the Filipinos here as well. And so not only you had the ETA people, you had the Black soldiers that came over here back in the 1800s. Once we won the Spanish-American War and brought the Philippines from Spain, that stayed here, settled here, and actually fought with the Filipinos. David Fagan is a famous name here, when it comes to Black culture. So, yeah, a lot of Filipinos do look up to Black men, and because they are bullied, because there is a term called morena, the negra, and they do like persecute each other based on skin tone and wealth. And it's competition. Even though they're smiling in your face, man, they are competitive as any other race there is. Okay, so you have infighting. I call Filipinos the Black nation of the Asian culture.
You still like living there?
They eat everything from the rooter to the tutor.
Do you still like enjoy living there?
Well, I don't plan on staying here.
Okay.
I'm going back to the States in about 4 years. And then I'll cycle back here and build a house later. But I'll buy in Texas first.
Okay. All All right.
So,
Well, man,
they eat everything from the pig, from the, like I said, from the rooter to the tutor. Lechon is a national dish. That's basically a crispy roasted pig.
oh man, you got to get off that pork, man.
Yeah, they eat chitlins. They eat everything. Black eyed peas, bro. Black eyed pea soup, stews, stuff like it. Anything a black person was eating, believe me, Filipinos eat too.
Oh yeah, they love it. They love pork here. I mean, it's pork everything in Thailand, bro. I'd be like, no pork. You can't tell them it's unhealthy either because they like, nah, it's healthy. But somebody said Cambodian women favor black women in America sometimes. I know one that you couldn't tell the difference. Hey man, don't go to Cambodia. Cambodia is very bad. All right.
Really?
All right, man. It's been at 2-hour mark. You know, we're gonna go ahead and sum it on up, man. I'm gonna get your guys closing statements. And I appreciate you coming on. I'll start with you, Ronan. Anything you want to close out with as far as the subject of interracial dating?
No, like I said, go where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated. That's the phrase that's been used over and over again, and it's very, very true. You know, I became wiser for my travels since I was a young kid, and even while I was in the military. I've been traveling since I was 4. I'm 58. So believe me, world travel does make you smarter. It gives you more exposure to cultures. And even if you're an American, you'll make you a more truer American because you'll start appreciating the smaller things America gives you off the rip that you don't necessarily get in other cultures, especially developing nations. That's it.
Good point. Black Cleaner, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on the panel again. We're all over the world. Black folks is all over the world. Learn your culture, love your culture, and accept your own and be yourself. That's basically it.
All right, man. Hotep. All right, fellas. Peace. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yep.
Peace.